The head teacher, the manager and members of the school board and the school committee, teachers and school children, parents and guardians, ladies and gentlemen, I again acknowledge the two honorable ministers, the Honorable Minister for Health and Medical Services, the Honorable Rosie Akbar, and the Honorable Minister for Local Government, Housing and Environment, and Minister for Infrastructure and Transport, the Honorable Praveen Kumar Barra, and of course the Honorable Chilila Kumar, a former school teacher, proud Jasperian, I believe, but unfortunately ACS has won again this year, who is also amongst us today. Bulubinaka, namaste, and a very good afternoon to you all. As I've stated, I am representing the Prime Minister, therefore I will deliver the address that he was supposed to deliver to you today. I'm delighted to be here at Ba Sanatan College in Ba to officially open this new classroom building as part of our Cyclone Winston rehabilitation program, so that your students can put the trauma of the cyclone behind them and get back to the business of learning. Today is the third day of our schools tour of schools that we have successfully upgraded and rebuilt following the destruction caused by Tropical Cyclone Winston last year, the strongest cyclone to ever make landfall in our hemisphere. None of these school projects are not simple rebuilds. These schools have all been reconstructed to a far higher standard, worthy of the students who rely on them and more resilient to the severe effects of climate change. At this opening of Ba Sanatan College represents an investment of over $1.9 million by my government to bring it to a climate resilient level of construction. Ba also saw the full brunt of the destructive force of Cyclone Winston last year, and the students of Ba Sanatan, along with countless other young people throughout our islands, were on the front lines of the brutal winds and torrential rains that devastated vast stretches of Fiji. So I know I don't need to remind anyone here of the heartbreak and misery that the cyclone brought to our shores, because your community experienced that firsthand. In the wake of the cyclone, I was in the villages and communities all over Fiji, leading relief teams and assessing the extent of the damage and destruction. It was a trying time for all Fijian people, as we mourned those we lost to the storm and began to pick up the pieces of communities that had been brought to their knees. But even in the midst of that suffering and tragedy, I could still see that the resilience of the Fijian spirit was undiminished. I saw it in the smiles and optimism on the faces of affected Fijians, some of whom had lost everything. And I saw it in the actions of our countrymen who ran to the aid of those who needed it most and gave their time, energy and resources to help their neighbors get back on their feet. The spirit of resilience inspired me then and continues to inspire me to this day, as it has been the driving force behind our massive effort to reclaim what we had lost in Cyclone Winston. We knew it would take time to rebuild all the homes, schools, and other infrastructure that were washed away, because we knew we needed to get this right on the first go. We knew we had to build back better, because building to the same standard as before would spell disaster for Fiji when the next cyclone reached our shores. Because the experts have already warned us that storms like Winston are only going to become more frequent and more severe due to the catastrophic effects of climate change. The reality is there is considerable work to be done to prepare ourselves for what is to come. 95% of the schools we are rebuilding from Cyclone Winston were built with no structurally approved plans, leaving our students vulnerable to climate-related catastrophe. We can't afford to rebuild to that standard because to do so would stick us in a costly cycle of rebuilding year after year and put the lives of our students at risk. I'm not prepared to let that happen. My government isn't just rebuilding. We are building back better. When every school we reconstruct is being built to code to withstand severe weather events. Yes, it has taken time, but yes, it is well worth it. Still, even though we know storms like Winston are only going to get worse, many do not share our vision for a more resilient Fiji. They only think short term and want us to rush this process along, but that would compromise the safety and security of ordinary Fijians. That is not responsible, and that is not true leadership. This government isn't taking the easy road. We aren't hurrying to put up schools that will only stand for a year and for a single term in office. We are building a Fiji that will last, that will stand for generations, homes that can be depended on to keep our people sheltered, and infrastructure that can be relied upon in times of crisis. We are making steady and unrelenting progress towards that goal, and we have a clear game plan for building back Fiji better than it was. This financial year we have seen enormous resources poured into our rebuilding effort, and we've already completed the vast majority of groundwork to reconstruct many of our schools. Some of that work has been carried over into the upcoming financial year, where we've allocated $170 million towards the reconstruction of schools alone. Our rebuild has also seen unprecedented collaboration with the private sector, including with the Fiji Institution of Engineers, who I'd like to personally thank for carrying out the assessment work for our schools pro bono, and for assisting with our Adopt a School program. On behalf of a grateful nation, Binakabagalewu, to the Fiji Institute of Engineers, and I kindly invite you to put our hands together to acknowledge the great work and assistance without any cost to government offered by the Fiji Institute of Engineers. I'd also like to acknowledge our dedicated staff at the Construction and Implementation Unit in the Ministry of Economy, headed by Mr. Shah Mohammed, for bringing a new level of professionalism to government's construction work, in particular for our rebuild program. Can we also acknowledge Mr. Shah, who is here with us, and his team from the Construction and Implementation Unit in the Ministry of Economy. We've also borrowed to complement our own allocations toward the rebuild, and I'd like to thank the World Bank and the ADB for partnering with us to help in our rebuilding effort. Ladies and gentlemen, any honest economist can tell you that our financial strategy to help our nation back on its feet is sound, because we are borrowing to build, to set up resilient infrastructure that drives economic activity and schools that prepare the next generation to succeed. We are investing in the potential of the Fijian people, and that is proven to grow our economy and set us up for even greater prosperity. We are committed to quality construction and getting the best possible returns on every dollar we spend. And we understand that our investment today will protect Fijian taxpayers from far higher costs of having to build in the future. In total, the Construction and Implementation Unit has completed 20 schools that sustained major damage in the cyclone. with work underway on 148 others, many of which will be completed soon. And we've also, through the Ministry of Education, completed minor repair works on 143 schools, with 175 currently being completed. Progress is being made, real progress, not temporary fixes. And I'm very proud that as part of that effort, we've completed the construction of this new classroom building at the Ba Sanatan College, making your school more resilient to severe weather and more capable of serving your students. Today, your community truly has something to celebrate, as this project marks a big step forward for our effort to build back better. And the completion of this new school block sends a strong message to your students that we care about their success and are prepared to invest in their futures. Our work across Fiji is far from finished, and it will not stop until every affected Fijian, family and household, is able to have their own day of celebration and beginning to put the memory of Winston's devastation behind them. This government will not rest until that day arrives. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the statement from the Honorable Prime Minister of Fiji, the Honorable Josiah Burengke Bainimarama. Winakawalebu, thank you and dhanyabad. Couldn't believe what I saw. Sit. Good. How does this work? Good. This was fast. Because you have my name here rather than the Prime Minister, you will withstand the next category.
So who will tell the Prime Minister that?